Now, we all of us have our sporting heroes. The one that first got our sporting juices flowing, if you like. The one rider who you used to idolise. For Matt, it was Ronnie Corrie. For Chris, the rider he remembers the most was Andy Graham. Now, I had quite a few heroes, and Andy was definitely at the top, along with Phil Hearn, Arthur Browning and Mel Corradine. However, if you were to push me as to my number one, then Alan Graham would be who I would choose. I remember being devastated when Alan broke his leg, and then being very upset when Birmingham sold him. And who did they sell him to? Cradley! What? How? Why? But he never stopped being my hero, and I did once get to have dinner with him after an end-of-season match, a memory I shall cherish and rate alongside chatting to Ivan Major on the centre green. So, tomorrow I get the chance to remember my hero as Birmingham take on his other club in a memorial meeting in his honour. To be honest, I don't care who wins, that's not the point, is it? No, I hope to see some racing worthy of Big Al, and he was a great racer. I hope to see a big crowd, and I hope, and I can't really believe I'm saying this, maybe I've grown up, I don't know. I hope to see lots of Cradley fans there. This one is for Big Al, only in Speedway.
Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. A meeting I've been looking forward to next year.
Yep, of course.
All year, I beg your pardon. Big Al, as I say, took a big part in me becoming a Speedway fan.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it should be a good night. I think there's some good racers in both teams.
Yeah, it's Cradley have got together some decent riders as well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Ryan Douglas, of course, with Wolves connections, he's lowering himself to race for Cradley tomorrow. So, sorry. No, it should be good. It's,
Let's bring on all the Cradley jokes, and if there's any Cradley supporters out there, let's bring on all the Birmingham jokes as well.
Yeah.
We can take it.
Must be
It'd be fun.
It is a fixture that's missed from the schedule.
But most of all, let's all bring on the Wolverhampton jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just go.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a few Wolves fans making the journey over there as well to see Ryan Douglas. I mean, Alan Graham, obviously from the Wolves' perspective, was always the pantomime villain. Really, was never what you would say particularly popular at Wolves, although he was always respected as a rider there, and was always, as I've said before, always seemed to turn into Ivan Major when he rode up against Wolves at Mum. So
yeah, I mean, we will talk about that all the more, I'm sure, as we go through. What we should say is we have a guest on tonight.
Good.
We have Neil Vatcher coming on the phone round about 8:15, so we've got a lot to get in tonight. Obviously, Neil Vatcher is in charge of all things development within Speedway, and was there on Wednesday to see the Under-21 British Championship at Perry Bar last Wednesday. You was there. What did you think of it?
I thought it was a thoroughly deserving winner. I felt, I think quite a few people on our prediction league had gone for, once Tom Brennan, of course, had his crash, and fair play to Tom Brennan, because, he really tried his heart out in that meeting. He was nowhere near fully fit.
No, he wasn't.
But he could have, but to be fair, he probably wouldn't have been deserved on the night, but he could have won the meeting.
Could easily won the meeting, and he was certainly giving chase in the final. Yeah,
and it was obviously, another big off, just 48 hours after that big off at Wolves on Monday. But a great performance from Leon Flint, who's really come of age in the last, certainly in the second half of the season. Has been getting some really good results. Of course, won the Under-19 Championship as well, and the Under-21. So just the seniors to go for Leon. So
would you say Leon's was the performance of the night?
I would say so, yeah.
No, I disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
Nobody got near him, really, did they?
No,
Tom Brennan probably.
I think the lads that changed the airbags had the performance of the night.
Fair enough, yeah.
That they changed, and I was one of them. So I'm picking myself. I thought we changed those airbags super quick, and I loved the way they got the meeting on.
Yeah, they got through it quickly, didn't they?
Yeah,
to be fair.
it was. if you was new to Speedway and you thought that's how it was run every week, you go, this is really good because it didn't stop. The action didn't stop, apart from when changing airbags, of course.
I think it was big for Birmingham as well because it shows that it's a huge event on the calendar, and it shows that Birmingham as a club can put on a big event like that.
But as far as winning is concerned, Leon, well, I mean, he was perfect.
Yeah.
He didn't do it all from the gate either.
So. No, he didn't. He looks, even right from his first race, he looked very, very quick.
Yeah. Big shout out for the other rider who, until about halfway through, I thought probably got a very good chance of winning it and was very fast, which is Connor Bailey.
Yeah.
He's come on leaps and bounds this year, hasn't he?
I'm still trying to scratch my head as to how he managed to avoid getting injured in that.
That was...
Yeah.
That was something. He pirouetted, and then I can't remember which rider it was. Sort of T-boned him, and he sort of jumped over the. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I'll tell my little story about it. So obviously, I work on the track, and I'm on bend one. He came off and did all his pirouetting and everything, and he was standing up at the end of the whole thing. He was just standing up, looking around, and sort of, where's my bike gone? And I'd got a bit of his bike in my hand.
Yeah,
I'd picked up off the track, and he came up and took it off me, and he said to me, and I quote, "Wow, did you see that?" And I went, "Yeah, I did actually." He said, "What happened?"
It happened in an instant, didn't it? So it was really, really, really bizarre crash.
Yeah,
thankfully he got up and walked away from it.
He did, yeah. He was seen very, very happy. We got a few.
It's got a few.
So Rich Thomas, evening. Jeff, evening. Evening, Nick. Evening, Elliot. Evening, Andrew. Darren Hartley said Alan Graham was a great fella, no edge, down to earth bloke, could beat anyone on his day. Sadly missed.
Underrated, I would say, as a rider.
I always remember that the year that it's the year that Andy won the British Championship and Alan came second. They were beating everybody that year, and they didn't get picked to ride for England, and there was quite a big uproar, and England lost. And they, I think Michael Lee was on a downward spiral, but anyway, there you go. Big Al is a Cradley icon, said Simon. He's actually also a Birmingham icon.
Cradley was probably the club where
he spent most of his time.
Most of his career, and he had his big successes were at Cradley during that phenomenal period of success that they.
But he came to fruition and to fame at Birmingham first, and so that's why. Rich Thomas loved Big Al's season at Swindon in 1986, even though it was interrupted by illness. Always a battler, ain't that the truth? And he bested Hans in Heat 1 when Oxford came calling, and that's always good for a Swindon fan. Elliot said, talking about the under-21, it was a fab meeting, good racing, competitive field at the top, battling out for the win. Super to see Leon Flint win the meeting. Well deserved with a full maximum on the night. Chris is asking for a sound check.
It sounds okay, apparently.
Good.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, I'm not sure how much we're going to be able to respond to the comments, though. We'll do our best, though, because obviously we've got Chris Vatcher coming on. But if you have any questions for Chris...
Is it Neil? You mean Neil?
Oh, Neil.
Neil.
Yeah, sorry, Neil.
He's standing behind you, by the way.
Yeah. So. Elliot says he's looking forward to the final Brummies meeting of the season against Cradley tomorrow, celebrating the Alan Graham Memorial and upright second half. Hope it's a close meeting with a big crowd, two good-looking teams. Yeah, but ours look better. They're just more handsome. Okay.
All right, let's not go there.
Evening, chaps. My first one for a couple of weeks. Looking forward to this. COVID is absolutely slaughtering me. I'm really sorry to hear that, mate. We've all had it here, and we're glad we ain't got it now. Can I use the COVID cough as an excuse? Why not? Everybody else has. Mike will like my new purchase that arrived this morning. New Brummies top supporting my local championship club.
Yeah,
well done. That's the way. No one was getting near Leon Wednesday night. Even a fully fit Tom Brennan would have struggled. Leon was inspired. He did look fast.
Yeah.
He looked really fast.
Obviously, it does help that, of course, he knows the track anyway, because he sort of served his apprenticeship, really, at Birmingham, didn't he, a few years ago? And
yes, he did.
I think he's come on a million miles from the I mean, he was. That's not to say he looked very, very promising, of course, in that season that he had at Birmingham, but he's really come on leaps and bounds since then.
The thing that always struck you was that he had, even at that young age, he had his feet on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, he was learning all the time. Yeah. Craig Smith says, just come back from Cyprus and I was approached by somebody after spotting my Bellevue Aces phone case, and we talked all things Speedway. Turned out he owned Allied Vehicles who run Glasgow Speedway. Interesting fact I didn't know was when they took over Glasgow 6 years ago, they brought over Greg Hancock to design the track, make the track better.
Didn't know that. No, I didn't know that.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to get through these until it's time. I think.
Yeah, got a few.
Would be funny if Dougie used his Walls Kevlars whilst riding for Cradley tomorrow night. No comment.
Is that a possibility?
It's a possibility, yeah. I don't think he'll be. I think there'll be a few eyes popping out there if they do see that's. I'm sure he'll be briefed about the rivalry between Walls and Cradley.
Another very God performance. I think that's probably going over the top from the Aces last night. Despite Zagar and Frick only winning one heat between them, Sheffield look weak at reserve. Also, Ellis not fully fit. Clint was a very good guest for them and scored more than Mujlak would have got. My prediction for the final is Aces versus Wolves. I think you'd take that.
What do we think about the superheat? Says Jim.
It's the first one I'd seen last night in the Peter Ipswich match. I've got to be honest, I don't like the superheat. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it really adds anything to the sport. I don't see why you can't just have draws, but it was it sort of gave Ipswich...
It's quite an American idea, not being able to have draws.
It gave Ipswich the opportunity to get a point, really, after what was not a very good performance, really. I mean, Peterborough looked to have that in the bag, but I think, when you've got... you always felt once Ipswich got that 5-1 to force the Z-beat that they were going to go out and do it again, so...
Dylan says, any idea who's replacing Jason Edwards tomorrow night? I wasn't aware that he needed replacing. So you might be able to help us out with that, Spuddy. Rich Thomas said some work started today at Swindon, but sadly seems only moving prefab buildings to start the next phase of houses.
I've got massive reservations about Swindon at the moment, unfortunately, but I hope I'm wrong. But
yeah, we need Swindon back. Absolutely, we need any club that can come back. Did you all read the article in the Speedway Star that Nigel Tolley gave?
I haven't read it now.
Have you not read it? It was very interesting. I strongly suggest you read it. I'll see if I can bring you a copy over. But at one point he's talking about keeping their eye open for another place for Brummies to call home.
Ooh. Hey? Leaving Perry Bar.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't think he's got anything yet, but it was interesting that he came out with that, I thought. He said, initially it might only just be a track a la Somerset, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I think I've always said that would be a great way to build a club.
I think it would be, yeah.
From the ground up.
From the ground up.
Yeah, Perry Bar's a fantastic stadium to stage speeder, but it's also a very expensive place to stage speeder, unfortunately. So
that's the problem.
Yeah, nice to have a purpose-built.
Where would it be?
Oh, he had a bad crash at Mildenhall on Sunday, and he said sure he saw somewhere he wouldn't be fit. Also check out Hayley Bromley's social media and help out young Harry McGurk if possible. Had his bike burst into flames on him last night at Bellevue and was wrecked just weeks after his first bike breaking too. Race against time to get him on track for the Colts on Friday. I'm sure if you can, you'll search that out and put a link on. Or if you've got a link there, Spuddy, just shove it on. Sam McGurk, yes. Rumours about SGP venues for next season, one being at Stade de France in Paris, would be another temporary track. Hope they learn the lesson from Cardiff.
Did you just try a French accent then?
I think I might have done.
Dear me.
What did I say?
You said Stade de France.
De France, yeah.
Stade de France.
I apologise.
Wonder what the Snarls were doing.
I got one word out and I'm all of a sudden I'm multilingual.
Yep.
Yeah. So I believe he's off to find Mr. Vatcher, I believe.
Oh, was he here?
No, he's not there.
Oh, that's right. I know that. I thought.
Yeah, he's under my cop out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, we're going to be talking to Neil about the under-21s, and we'll also be talking to him about all sort of development questions. So you've got anything out there that you would like to ask, just shove it up there. And oh no, that was a really bad choice of words.
No, just stick it up on the box, and
yes.
we will impart those pearls of wisdom.
We'll put that to him. Oh, and there's the GoFundMe.
That's on the chat. So we'll put that on the Facebook page as well, so people who haven't watched the show can see
absolutely.
that. So
hopefully, within a couple of seconds and the magic, we might have Mr. Neil Vatcher on the line. Are you there, Neil? No, he's not. You can't get
can't get the stuff, can you? Know?
We had this is a poor excuse, by the way, Chris, but we had a software update in the studio today, and all sorts of weird and wonderful things happened.
Try again.
Are you there, Neil? I can hear he's there, but it's not on my phones, so I can't hit.
Can't hear on my cams either, unfortunately.
Hang on, Neil. We'll get you sorted in a second.
Don't you just love it when it goes to plan? Spuddy says Wolves an outside bet for the pairs at Bellevue on Monday. I seem to enjoy riding the place.
We certainly do. Yeah.
Who have you got?
I haven't seen the full lineup actually. I would just. I suppose the logical one would be Masters and. Well, I suspect it'll be Masters and.
Are you there, Neil? No. Oh dear. Are you trying the old Bluetooth way again?
Yeah, it was okay.
It was, yeah. You might want to go the old way.
Yeah. Are you there still, Neil? No? Okay. Says it's connected.
Spuddy says he assumes it'll be Sam, Luke and Leon.
I would have thought so.
Oh, something happened there. Are you there, Neil?
Hello?
Hello? No. Oh, this is all good.
And it's live as well.
We're definitely connected, so I can't understand what... Are you there, Neil?
I can hear the Bluetooth beeping in the...
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it beeped in my ear. Are you there, Neil?
Hello?
Craig Smee says, I think the BSPL have missed a trick with rescheduled British final. Surely should have been run on a Saturday. Not only does it clash with the Man United game, but I think many people who paid initially and is getting £10 discount off restaging might decide to not come, I'm guessing, is the finish of that.
I didn't realise that.
No, I haven't seen that.
Is it when Man United... Is it
stuff. Are you there, Neil?
Yeah, it doesn't want to work.
Can you go back to the old-fashioned way of doing it?
Yeah, I'll try it in a bit. Yeah.
Or just shove the phone up on the microphone. We've done that before now.
Yeah,
done that before now.
It's a strange one, though, isn't it?
Maybe the British final's obviously been pushed by television as to when they can slot it in. So
maybe something.
Of course, I mean the British final traditionally was always a Sunday meeting, wasn't it? When it was at Coventry, yeah. So.
Sunday the 18th, 3 p.m. British final on Eurosport. So I would imagine the Eurosport's got a lot to say about that, to be honest. How we doing?
It doesn't want to work. But that's come off. I'm going to try him again because it just say it's paired. You carry on and I'll keep. Keep going. Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about tomorrow's meeting then. Do you want to give us the lineups as we know them?
I haven't got them on here, unfortunately. Hang on, let's have a look.
It'll be on the Brummies main site. I'm sure you've got that as your home page, haven't you?
Well, the Wolves one to be on page.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, but I mean, hopefully, I think there will be. I suppose the most important thing, of course, is the weather, because the forecast isn't brilliant for tomorrow.
We don't talk about the weather.
No, we don't.
We don't talk about the weather.
It creeps up on you. That's the problem. So here we go. So, but hopefully there will be a big crowd. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Crowley fans will be coming over.
I would hope so, despite a few of them moaning a little bit about their team. What do they expect? You've got to pick a typical Crowley team, haven't you?
Well, a Crowley team was in the 60s when they were always finishing bottom, is that all?
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about the fact that they used to be our
Feeder Club.
Yeah, Feeder Club. You've said it now. There is a whisper that Swindon Greyhounds are finishing in January.
There seems to be a lot of things going on with Swindon, isn't there, at the moment? And but here's the teams then for tomorrow. So for Birmingham, the Birmingham past, present and future, I should say. Josh Pickering, Simon Lambert, Tom Brennan, Paco Castagna, Justin Sedgman, Jack Smith and James Pearson. And for Cradley, Ryan Douglas, Jason Edwards, Adam Roynan, James Wright, Paul Stark, Tom Spencer and Tom Perry making his return to action.
I think that will be a good test for Pearson.
Yeah, I think it will be. So.
Actually, to see how because obviously Tom Perry, not the best gaiter in the world, but a long chalk.
Never was it?
No, so that's going to be interesting. I'll be So, what's the name of the Birmingham team again?
Past, present and future.
Now then, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you think there are any clues in there as to a team next year?
Well, you would have thought now that, of course, the club have made the announcement that they're going to run next year, that their plans would have already been put in place to start planning for next season. It's probably a bit of a novelty for Birmingham, really, isn't it? To be going into the last match of the season, knowing
they're going to be there next year.
So because it's not been the case, has it, the last few seasons? So there's a few interesting names there. I mean, Tom Brennan's obviously guested for Birmingham a few times. Josh Pickering has as well. Both
riders who are very entertaining.
Yeah, Paco Castagna, of course, former Birmingham man and has guested for the club. So with still, not 100% over the future at Edinburgh. I mean, could he be on the way back to Birmingham next year? He's obviously still very popular with the crowd.
Yep.
Great character. A lot of time for Paco. Interesting one, of course, is Jack Smith, because you think when Jack Smith was at Birmingham before, I mean, he looked a really good prospect, didn't he? But he's kind of lost his way, really.
That is an interesting one.
Few seasons,
because you would have thought Lee Complin was nailed on for reserve position. But,
it's okay. Sorry, we're having problems. I just can't get.
So Spotty says he's seen Brennan has a 2-year contract at Glasgow, so it likely rules him out. I don't think.
Unless Glasgow send him out on loan, of course.
Yeah,
I don't. They might not be able to fit him in.
And the rider will go where a rider wants to go.
Yeah.
Is the other thing. And I know he's enjoyed riding at Birmingham.
Yeah.
I know that because he's told me.
Spuddy says, dropping now, so.
Yeah, I've done a few of that tonight. I personally think Pico looked good in the Wolves colours last week too, said Spuddy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose the big thing, of course, is the fact that he's there with Sam Masters, and of course they're both the top two at Edinburgh.
He reminds me a lot of a young Jason Lyons in his
that's a
his
big
action.
that's a big statement, that is.
But he does in his sort of he's all action, isn't he? And he doesn't.
Yeah.
He uses the track in the same way.
There's an argument, really, that Birmingham have never really replaced Jason Lyons, have they? So,
no.
But then again, I mean, how do you replace him? Because the guy was a class act for so many years, not just for Birmingham as well, for Bellevue for many seasons.
Of course. And Birmingham have always been at their best when they've got a good Australian.
Yeah.
You think back to Graham Warren,
yep,
Phil Hearn, Jason Lyons. They've always been best when they've had that number one Australian. That's really good. Jason Doyle as well,
of course.
So Spuddy says the silly season is on the way now. I know the changes I'd personally like at Wolves, and I don't think they're too unrealistic either, but a lot to see with points, etc. Thanks, Rich. I dropped Neil Vatcher's name and called him Chris.
Yeah.
Are we having any?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we just put him on the phone and just shove the phone up against the microphone?
We can try that.
Shall we try that? We've done that before.
Yeah. In the 90s, was that all?
I think that was last week. Well, Spuddy, I mean, you've sort of you've opened your mouth there. I think you should put your money where your mouth is. And who would you like to see at Wolves next season? So that's what we. That's what we do. I think
there may be some. I think there will be some changes at Wolves next year. I don't see Drew Kemp coming back. I think he's been. He disappointed me a little bit on Wednesday. Didn't have a great night.
Started off okay, but
as he rode better against Bellevue last week,
Right.
but it's not really clicked into gear, to be honest. I don't think Mum has ever really been his sort of track, to be honest.
Oh, hello. We have a
Hello?
hello, Neil.
Hello, I can hear you now.
You can hear, and we can
Goodies
hear
for us.
you. Wow, fantastic.
That's good.
It's not like this
Okay,
every
all
week,
good.
so.
No, that's all right, mate, no worries.
Right, we'll continue with talking to you then. So first of all,
Okay, cool.
you was there looking after the under-21s at Birmingham last Wednesday.
Indeed.
Would you consider that a successful meeting?
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, both the British under-21 finals and the under-19 finals, I do always really enjoy, to be honest with you. It goes without saying that, it's always 16 riders that give it their all and never want to give up. So, in my opinion, it tends to be always really good racing. The only thing that I sort of felt a little bit last Wednesday was, unfortunately, through injuries, there was probably sort of 5 or 6 riders missing.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps, if I'm being absolutely honest, there was like a small divide, certainly in the earlier heats between the sort of top half and the bottom half.
Mm-hmm.
But after saying that, the races, there was a few races there that was sort of 2 races in one, if you like. So, and it takes, all these different sort of standards to get to the higher standards and experience for the boys. And yeah, in my opinion, I thoroughly enjoyed it, put it that way for sure, and thought it was a really good night.
Yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I certainly did, yeah. I mean, obviously Leon was absolutely superb, and of course adding to the under-19 championship as well. I mean, Leon's really come of age in the second half of the season now.
He absolutely has. To be honest, I know on social media that I took a fair bit of stick for not using him in the Speedway of Nations too, but sort of since that event, he has really kicked on. So, I don't know whether perhaps Leon had a point to prove, not just to me but to the rest of British Speedway to sort of show his worth. But all a credit to him, as I say, from that point on, I felt that he was doing quite well before then, but certainly since the end of July, he's really kicked on, and maybe even winning that British under-19, which was actually just before that event. Sort of from that point on, he sort of kicked on another level, and I sort of feel that perhaps Tom is our sort of outright number one at under 21 level, but sort of Leon now for sure is really pushing him close, and if he continues working hard, there's sort of no reason why he can't push on sort of to the level that Tom's been, from the back half of last season to, continuing this year being like a real top rider at junior level.
I think to be fair, I mean, I've never had any doubts about Leon's ability. I suppose the big question really was, could he do it on the small tracks? And of course, he's obviously been with Wolves now for over a year. It's taken him a little bit of time to get used to Monmouth, but he's certainly started doing that in the last second half of the season, and that seems to have coincided with his rising form as well. And then the fact that he can now do it on the smaller tracks as well. Yeah,
again, I certainly can't disagree with you there, and I think it was a real big call for Leon not only to go to Wolves last season, because, again, I'm sure everyone would agree that probably everyone had that view of Leon. But we all know that he's, particularly good around Berwick and even Birmingham before that, in his National League days. The big question was around the smaller circuits, but he went to Wolverhampton last year as a rising star and sort of stuck with him this year as well. And again, you've got to give Leon the credit for that. And he's worked really hard to, be an all-round rider, and that's coming through now. I think what people, or it's easy to forget, is that he's still only 18 years old. He's been riding in league Speedway since he's 15. So people would probably think that he's older than what he is, but he's still like a real baby in the sport. So Still got a lot to learn, but we can all see that he's learning all the time, and seems to be doing things the right way. From the results on the track. So, really pleased for him.
There's a real sort of irony at the moment, isn't there, where we've got a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of speedway tracks either closing or in danger of closing, and yet on the world stage, Great Britain's probably the best it's ever been, and with more up and coming riders. And you look at the likes of Dan Bewley at the moment, it's a little bit, I don't know what the word is, but it's quite ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I was actually asked the question today, actually, what my thoughts were on like British Speedway results this year and internationally, and I think with the performances of Dan obviously and Robert in the Grand Prix, Great Britain's results in the Speedway of Nations, both like the senior Speedway of Nations and the SON too as well. We were the only nation to get a medal in both. I feel for the senior team to get a silver medal was an absolutely fantastic result, and for the under-21s to get a bronze medal, which was our fifth consecutive medal in that competition, again was a massive achievement. And it's probably only fair to say that Poland and Denmark are the top two nations, but I really do believe that Great Britain currently are not very far behind. And we have lots of young talent out there that if everyone keeps working hard and keeps their sort of their feet on the ground and keep doing the right things, there's no reason why we can't certainly match the Poles and the Danes, if not overtake them in the not too distant future, which I think probably on an individual basis, because Bewley and Lambert, I think we're almost overtaking them now. So, and as you say, there's like guys behind Dan and Robert that's coming through, like you Toms and Leons, and sort of even younger guys after Tom and Leon that potentially we could be as good as anyone in a World Speedway. So, I think British Speedway's had a fantastic year internationally. Obviously, domestically, times are hard. They definitely are. We've obviously lost Newcastle this year, which was a great shame, of course. And as you quite rightly say, we keep hearing the old Chinese whispers about all the different tracks, and we certainly don't want to be losing any more. But hopefully, it doesn't come to that. And there's places for these young riders to go. Once they are ready for. Whether it's National League Championship or Premiership. Yeah. So, as I say, we certainly don't want to lose any more clubs.
Which is, of course, very, very important for that we keep all the clubs in NDL as well. Yeah. But also, we at Birmingham, we run, I think they call it the Midland League, don't they? Yeah. And there's only three teams at the moment in that, and that really needs to improve, surely.
Yeah, I think to be honest, I think the junior league level, again, has probably been a little bit tough this year. I think, in fairness, like the Premiership teams have got a Premiership junior league this year, which each of the 6 teams have got a junior league team. And then the Northern Championship clubs have run the Northern Junior League as well. So, there are opportunities out there for the riders. I think, for those type of riders, I think midweek fixtures is sometimes difficult. Whether like dads are working or the young riders can't sort of get to venues midweek. I think it's always a bit difficult now. But and obviously the price of petrol and diesel hasn't helped. Where these young riders get very little, if any, reimbursement. So I think it's hard at the real bottom level. But I think the big picture of British Speedway, I think that we've had a really successful season.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can argue with that. So Tell us a bit about Neil Vatcher. How did you get to be in that job, and actually what is your job?
Okay, all right. Well, yeah. So, like, currently I wear sort of one or two different hats. As you quite rightly say, like, I am the Great Britain under-21 team manager, which includes everything from under-21, so down to the youth riders as well, and run the British Youth Championship as well. It's very time-consuming, to be honest with you. You know, obviously as with sort of many of these roles, you know, people don't see the work that goes on behind the scenes, which, like, I wouldn't quite say that it's a full-time role, but it's pretty much that. And then I guess I would say that my real job is actually work for the Speedway Control Bureau, which I'm the coordinator, so the administrator for the Speedway Control Bureau, which the actual sort of job description of that is really to sort of, I guess, to police the British Speedway is probably the easiest way to say it, to make sure that everyone runs by the rule book and the rules, sort of look after the referees, sort of oversee the referees as well, and just make sure that the sport is run in the correct manner. So between the two roles of being the SCB coordinator and the under-21 role that I currently hold, then the sort of two roles pretty much make like a full-time job for me. So I am very fortunate, you know, enough to be doing something pretty much every day that I obviously love. You know, I've been probably like most of us sort of got into the sport through being a supporter initially. Like, I've been going to Speedway since I was 18 months old. My parents are big Speedway fans, and yeah, I've been sort of being a fan of Speedway for basically my whole life. So got into Speedway as a kid at school. Always wanted to be a Speedway rider. Like, again, you know, probably like most people do. Got to like a second half standard, and then couldn't really afford to go up to the sort of next level, and then ended up mechanicking for a couple of riders, and from 1993 was actually mechanic for Craig Boyce down at Poole.
Wow.
And spanner for Boyce basically for the next 20 years until he retired in, I think it was 2007. Yeah, so I was spanner man for Craig Boyce for 20 years. So sort of learned the role of that. And then in 2009, Matt Ford at Poole started up a National League team called the Bournemouth Buccaneers. And along with Gary May, that was my first team manager role with the Bournemouth Buccaneers at Poole. I was there for 2 years, and then in my second season, I was fortunate enough to be offered the under-21 Great Britain job with Phil Morris at the time.
Right.
And as the old saying goes, sort of never look back, and here we are 13 years later, so you're still doing that role and still absolutely loving it. I love working with all the kids, the young riders. Been privileged enough to work with, you know, the Robert Lamberts and the Dan Bewleys, and, you know, sort of currently now working with, you know, some real strong 500, 250s and 125 riders, and, you know, trying to make them into the next Robert Lambert and Dan Bewleys.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that you mentioned Craig Boyce there, Neil. Were you at Hackney when he had that little disagreement with Thomas Gollop, shall we say?
Yeah, everyone talks about that night, you know, which obviously Boyce was, you know, probably famous for, but, you know, he was a very successful Speedway rider, come you know, third in the world in 1994, which was, you know, at the time, you know, that was Craig's first world final, and nothing was really expected of him, and he ended up having a runoff, you know, to win the world title against Tony Rickards and Hans Nielsen, and you know, he won World Cups with Australia, and I think he's still now the top point scorer of all time with the Poole Pirate team, which, you know, Poole's had many successful riders. So yeah, apart from that one sort of famous night that, you know, everyone talks about, Craig was a very successful spear rider, and I was privileged to be part of it.
And had a nice right hook. But, talking about some of the younger riders, one of the problems that we've had in Speedway is sort of looking after those up and coming riders. And you look at the likes of, I don't know, Zach Vitanek and Jack Parkinson. Blackburn, that's the word. Yep. They come onto the scene, and you think this kid's got something, and then for whatever reason, and it's very often, I guess, a mental problem, they don't quite make it. I mean, what can we do to improve that?
Yeah, that's the sort of $1 million question, really. But don't get me wrong, like I absolutely love this sport, and sort of no one praises it more than me. But I will say, it's an absolutely ruthless sport, and you've got to be, 100% dedicated. Like, I'm not saying, Zach or Jack weren't, but both of them didn't get quite the sort of roll of the dice to have the luck that they needed at the time. Like, I know Zach had, quite a few injuries in a short period of time, which knocked his confidence. And Jack, probably different reasons, but it's such a mental sport, really. And you've got to be strong mentally, you've got to be strong physically, you've got to have, probably lots of good luck on your side as well. And there's a number of things that's got to go your way. Like, I sort of like to describe it like a jigsaw, really, and there's sort of many pieces to it. The part that we all see is just, from say 7 o'clock on a Wednesday night down at the track, and it just lasts for an hour and a half. But, it is so much more than that. And, when these young guys are first starting out, it isn't just the rider, it's the whole family that's got to be, 100% dedicated. And, obviously it costs an awful lot of money as well. And you've got to have the right sponsors on board, and there's a whole number of things that have got to go your way. And unfortunately, for some of these guys, I don't really know the ins and outs of, particularly Jack or Zach, but obviously, it didn't go their way, and they've obviously chosen a different path to go down to. But we can only do what we can do, and sort of try and encourage and do the right things for the riders and families that are 100% dedicated. And I guess it's probably the same with any sport. Only a certain percentage make it, don't they? And it's sort of sad and it's tough, but I guess that's just the sort of nature of the beast in the end.
I suppose, to sort of paraphrase what you're really saying is that talent alone isn't enough. You've got to have the will
to do it.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, we've probably all seen riders. Like, I won't name names, but a couple of riders sort of spring to mind that they've probably got more talent in their sort of little finger than probably half the riders that are making a good living out of it now, but haven't made it right to the top, for different reasons. And that's exactly what I mean. With a big jigsaw, it's many different pieces rather than just talent. And sometimes it doesn't fall that way, and unfortunately, they don't make it, or as I say, choose a different route to go, which is unfortunate. But I'm sort of enjoy my football as well, and we often hear stories of perhaps some of these top clubs, football clubs, having a group of 10 or 12 talented teenagers, in their academies, but often there's only two or three that make it. And as I say, it's got to be dedication and sponsorship and luck and mental strength, physical strength.
Who's your team, Neil?
What football team?
Yeah,
Southampton boys, I'm afraid.
Moving on.
Probably not a lot to say.
He's a bit shy.
I actually live in Southampton, so they're saints on my team. Yeah.
I suppose the epitome of what you're talking about there would be Ivan Major, who's not necessarily got the greatest talent in the world, but for sheer hard work.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, like I'm much old enough to like remember Ivan in his sort of later days, but I've obviously read Ivan's books and that, and like I understand that he came to Wimbledon. I think it was in 1958, I think, or sometime in the 50s anyway, and then initially got sort of refused, and he actually went back home for 2 years. And again, it was only through Ivan's determination that he actually came back to the UK 2 years later, and the rest is history. But it would have been so easy for him to perhaps go and get a job somewhere and never come back to the UK. But you're exactly right. I think Ivan's an absolutely fantastic example of that, of his dedication. Perhaps not a natural speedway rider, but the absolute dedication of it all. And we've all seen what the success that Ivan had, and of course, an absolute role model for any speedway in any era.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I've got about 600 questions written down here, so we're going to have to call you back at some point.
Part two.
Okay.
But I'm just going to sort of finish with this one. There's an important meeting for me anyway at Birmingham tomorrow. I'm wondering whether you have had any dealings with Alan Graham or any memories.
Yeah, obviously at Birmingham last year, Andy was there, and I had a good old chat with Andy, and it was really sad that Alan passed away last year, obviously, but in Andy's words, that Andy said to me, that Alan passed away doing something that he absolutely loved, and I think that's all credit to the man at the age that he was, still riding his motorcycle and still loving it. With my role on the SCB, as well as the referees, like I hold seminars at the start of every season for track officials, and Alan attended those as well. Recently within the last year or so, and had a good old chat with Alan about Speedway and his love for the sport. Still officiating at Wolverhampton, and. After 20 odd years of not riding the sports, but still loving it, still involved, and I would say the couple of memories for me for Alan would be obviously that British final when Andy won it and Alan was second. That was a sort of fantastic achievement for the family. I was still quite young then, but I can imagine that how proud the grandparents would have been to see Absolutely. Andy and Alan stood numbers 1 and 2. And probably the one picture that sticks in my mind, and I'm sure everyone has probably seen this photo. I think it was like a Wimbledon Test match where Alan was absolutely caked in
I've seen that
mud. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the sort of memory that always makes me smile and think, out and out races, and during his Crowley Heath days, of course. Again, probably along with Andy, probably both Alan and Andy were probably underrated at the time, and there was probably superstars during that era that probably kept the Graham boys under the radar a little bit. But both riders that every team would want an Alan Graham in their team, wouldn't they? For sure,
absolutely.
Great team member, always score your points, good team man. And I feel privileged that I knew him just a sort of little bit, towards the end of his life, unfortunately. As I say, he attended a couple of my seminars and had the privilege to speak to him. And lovely man. And it was a sad day that he's gone, but I'm really pleased that Birmingham is putting the event on tomorrow, and hopefully there's a big crowd and good racing and everyone enjoys it.
I hope so. Thanks again, Neil, for your time. And you're definitely going to have to come on again next year.
All right, no worries. Anytime, guys.
You
Thanks
take
for the
care.
call. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thanks
Cheers,
a lot,
Neil.
mate.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
Neil, mate.
Bye-bye.
See you
Cheers.
guys.
Cheers,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.
Okay, so
Got there in the end.
yeah, he was a good guest. I
Yes.
enjoyed talking
fantastic.
to
Yeah,
him.
we will definitely have to have him
Absolutely, yeah.
back. It was really
I
really
kept writing
interesting.
questions down. I know.
Yeah,
I
no, it's
can't-
We'll
fascinating.
have to do another hour special, won't we?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually.
I guess we need to do the
Prediction League.
Well, we've got
Nigel
about
Pearson.
7 minutes. Maybe
Yeah,
we can.
so let's get through it.
Maybe we could do the. I don't know. Maybe we could put the scores up after the.
Well, let's just go through it
We'll have
now
a
and
look at- we'll have a
go
look
through it
at-
as quick as we can.
Okay, look-
Yeah,
look at-
we'll finish with the scores.
Yeah, we'll
Let's
have a
just
quick
go
look at
through the.
Oh,
What do you think?
yeah.
Right, so if everybody's
Hang on,
ready.
hang on, I'll just put. Are we going to quickly go through the scores, or are we going to have a look at the tables, or?
We'll
Just,
put the table up and we'll have a look at the,
Yeah.
the fixtures while we're doing it. So,
yeah, we did. Have you got them there? Have you?
Yeah, there we go.
Just Spotty's put his said thanks for putting us on the spot, and he's given us his team for next year. He wants he'd replace Nick Morris, I could presume with Ryan Douglas, and Drew Kemp with Jacob Thorsell.
well,
Josh-
I'm not so sure about Jakob Thorsell. To be honest, he hasn't done that much since he's not been over in the UK. From
Josh
what I can
Pickering
see,
and
so.
possibly dropping a touch more into high sixes, and
Yeah.
Kai Thompson.
Yep.
You'd
Oh,
be
well,
happy.
I'll let you tell CVS to get the checkbook out. And,
Okay, yeah.
do it.
Let's get on with it.
Okay, let's get on with it.
It's up
Yeah.
to Matt to go first.
Okay, so the first one is the NDL match tomorrow night, Oxford against Kent.
Oxford
got that
versus
one,
Kent. Yeah, and
I'm going to say Oxford by 10.
I got Oxford by 8.
okie dokie.
Okay, the Brummy Black Country Derby are back on the agenda then. Birmingham against Cradley tomorrow.
Are we okay?
Yeah, we'll put that in, yeah.
Okay. It's up to you, Chris.
I'll go Brummies by 20.
Well, I hope not. I mean, I want to win, but I want a good
Yeah.
match. I'm going to say Birmingham by 8.
I've gone Birmingham by 10.
Okay.
Okay, the first quarter-final of the Championship playoffs, Poole against Plymouth.
Poole versus Plymouth. I'm going to say Poole by 16.
I've gone Poole by 20.
I'll go Paul by 20 as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Next up, Ipswich against Peterborough.
Ipswich against Peterborough. And that's up to you.
Ipswich by 10.
I'll go Ipswich by 12.
I was going to say 12 as well. I'm going to say 12 as well.
Good, okay. Kings Lynn against Sheffield is the next one.
That's up to me.
This
isn't
isn't. This.
Interesting one, because
Yeah.
Sheffield has really gone off the board, haven't they? So they did a poor night at Bellevue on Monday. So, but I'm going to go for...
It's not your go, so
your
you're
go.
going to go for
Ah,
it.
you were about to say Sheffield then, weren't you? I'm going to go Sheffield by 6.
Okay. I'm actually going to say Kings Lynn by 6.
No, I'm going to go Kings Lynn by 4. Next up is the other quarter-final, first leg, Edinburgh against Redcar.
That's too
That
much.
could be tasty, couldn't it?
Yeah.
I believe it's down to me, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
God, I would get a... No, please don't hit me, anybody. I'm going to say Edinburgh by 10. I just want Edinburgh to do well, because it might be their last season.
I've gone Redcar by 4 on that.
I'll go Edinburgh. No, I won't. I'll go Redcar by 6.
Simon Corbett agrees with me. That's the first time this season,
Oh.
so he's going to get that one right.
That's where he's going to slip up then. That's where he's going to slip up.
Okay, next one is the first leg of the Knockout Cup semi-final, Leicester against Poole.
That's going to be an interesting one,
Yeah.
isn't it? What are you going for, Matt?
Leicester by 10.
I'll go Leicester by 8.
Leicester by 12.
Okay, next up, we drop into the NDL on Sunday. It's Kent against Bellevue.
Up to you, Chris.
I'll go I'll go Bellevue by 6.
I'm going to go Kent by 4.
I'm going to go Bellevue by 8.
And
Next up is the second leg of the quarter-final, Redcar against Edinburgh.
That's up to me again.
Yeah.
Well, that's how the cookie crumbles. I'm going to say red car by 10.
I've gone red car by 6.
Which would then produce a draw in my case.
Yep.
I'll go red car by 4.
Okay. And we won't do the Premiership pairs. The last one is the second leg of the other quarter-final, Plymouth against Poole.
Plymouth
Obviously, we'll be
versus
following that
Poole.
on the show on tomorrow night, on
To
next
you,
week.
mate.
Poole by 6.
I'll go Poole by 12.
I'm going to say Plymouth by 2.
You can see where you're going wrong, can't you, Mike? You're predicting the wrong scores.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Ah, wish somebody had
I
told
hate
me.
to tell you.
Is that the lot?
That's it, yep.
Well, we got through that
Yeah,
quick.
we did,
It was a bit
yeah.
like the under-21 last week.
Yeah, we haven't. There's not that many fixtures, are there, really? Because it's still
No,
getting to
no.
that stage of the season where there's a bit of a gap before you get the playoffs.
Things we haven't talked about this week. Vojans on the
Vojans,
weekend. Yeah, so we'll
Yep.
have to...
Can Dan Beauty make it 3 in a row?
That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Has
No
anybody
chance.
ever made it 3 in a row?
I think Tony Rickardson and Jason Crump are the only two that have won 3 in a row. Maybe others, I'm not sure. But still, obviously, Bart Smarslick with 108 and Leon Madsen 92. So still very much in Bart Smarslick's hands, the World Championship.
And the other thing we haven't talked about, of course, is the Premiership pairs.
Yep. At Belvedere, the last one.
I'll probably be round off. It's at Belvedere.
No, it's going to be an interesting one. Of course, it's been an interesting concert, hasn't it? The pairs. I'm not a huge fan of pairs meetings, but it does seem to have worked quite well this year.
Yeah, the 4-3-2 thing, is it? They're still doing that, are they?
Yeah.
Supports them.
And I like the fact that they're staging one on every single track as well. So it's whether they'll do it next year is I'd like to think they will. But
Spuddy says, I think the British final comes at the perfect time for Bewley to really stamp his authority. The confidence from 2 GP wins will make him a different beast.
well, I
Possibility.
I think there's a very strong possibility that Dan Bewley will be back in the UK next year. I do. I think he wants to race in the UK.
Riding for Birmingham.
Let's not get too carried away.
Prima.
Yeah, that would be an unbeatable.
Yep.
Okay, well, I
And
guess
on that note,
yeah, I guess we're there. It's been a great night. We don't have guests as often as we used to, but when we get them, they're good ones.
We are. Yep.
Yeah, you take care, everybody. Hope to see loads and loads of you tomorrow at the Alan Graham Memorial meeting. That would be fantastic. See you next week.
Good night.
Have a drink.